Correct.
All right, we are officially called to order at 1:32 p.m. We do not have, actually, we're going to start with public comments. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we're going to advance. Actually, we're going to skip the review and approval of the June 18th meetings, as we currently do not have a quorum. If anyone joins after, maybe we can push that to the end of the meeting. So I will now turn it over to the Green Bank folks to talk us through the healthy housing piece. Would that be Mackie?
Good afternoon. So I was going to provide an update on our Solar Map Plus work in the affordable housing space. I've done this for the last few meetings, but just as a quick background summary here, this is our solar and storage development and financing, or development assistance and financing program that helps affordable housing owners install projects utilizing the RES and ESS policy framework that was set up a few years ago for affordable housing. I think it's a particular interest for this group because for master metered properties, it allows the portion of the solar revenue that is set aside for tenant benefits to be used to fund upgrades to the building, which energy efficiency improvements are on the list of eligible upgrades. So we, the way the program works is we identify projects and then put them out to bid. We've got two portfolios of projects. Our first one, we ran an RFP earlier this year and have leases and signed and contracts in place with a vendor that we selected. We have two different vendors, as you see here: PurePoint Energy and Earthlight Technologies. I won't read through all the details in the slide, but you see is the key things being we've got over 2 megawatts of solar that are delivering an average amount of $363 per year to the tenants. I've highlighted the projects that are master metered. So in those cases, you see a lump sum number. So we will be providing that funding to the property owner to make improvements to the property. Federation Square is doing windows. Congregate, I think they're still trying to, they're actually thinking about getting nursing staff and potentially, instead of taking the money up front, using it as a ongoing amount to fund that staff. And then Juniper Hill is still trying to figure out what they're going to do. But we're very happy with the progress of this portfolio. We've got a few RES applications in from this to the utilities and hope to get these. We're safe harboring the projects so we can take advantage of the investment tax credit before the changes happen to that due to the One Big Beautiful Bill, so we can preserve all these benefits for the tenants. Next slide.
That's fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, this one's even better. We've got more units and a little more solar. In this case, I don't have savings numbers yet because the RFP just closed and we're evaluating the proposals we got, which the economics or the cost of those projects and production will inform the tenant benefits, but we'll have that soon. Highlighted ones, again, are the master metered properties. We're working with those properties to figure out what they're going to do. We know Mark Twain is planning on windows. And you see here, we've got a few projects where we receive battery proposals. We solicited for a few of the ones that were interested and received them. So now we're working with those proposals to see if the economics make sense. We had planned to use some of the Solar for All funding that the state received to and make the economics such that the batteries did make sense. But with the recent revision of that funding, we won't be able to bring that to bear to make sure that we can get those batteries installed. So now we'll be relying on the ESS program and the investment tax credit, and hope that the numbers work.
Would you consider, Mackie, adding maybe in a previous slide, I don't know, like a side note or a column noting the number of jobs created or the economic impact of these projects?
Yeah, we should be, Brian, I think we can do that with the calculator we have, right? Based on the project cost. Yeah. Okay. So, yep. Well, I'll take that note, Brenda. We will add that. That's it. We're actually talking to energy and the environmental committee next week and using some of these slides. That's a good suggestion for that meeting too, to have that included. So I'll do that.
Hey, Mackie.
Yes, hey, Bernie.
On the projects that are paired with batteries, what's the role of the batteries? Are they just peak shaving, or are they truly backup for these? I mean, 122, 45 units is a big battery system. So what's the role of these batteries, I guess, is my question.
So we're looking at the each individual project now. In some cases, the properties are on a residential rate class where there are no demand charges. Everything is kilowatt hour based. So in those cases, there are no revenue opportunities or savings opportunities aside from the ESS program. But if there is a peak shaving opportunity, then we will certainly take advantage of it. And then on the resiliency side, the goal is that's the key goal, is to provide resiliency. So it will not, to your point though, some of these properties are big. It would not be full resiliency in that we would expect to support the entire load of the peak load of the building for days. But at minimum, we'd hope to operate some sort of common space, or have some sort of power availability. Just because again, otherwise the cost just isn't feasible for those huge batteries.
Thank you.
So
That makes
balancing
perfect
cost
sense.
and economics with the resiliency we can provide.
Great.
Hi, this is Melissa. Sorry, I'm late. Can you just go back to the other slide quick? I wanted to look at those numbers again. Okay. So the ones that are bigger are the upgrade amount, or no?
That's
It
correct.
says annual savings per tenant. I'm just confused.
Yep. So it's either the average or it's either the annual savings per tenant or it's the upgrade amount. In the case of a tenant metered property where each tenant has their own bill that they pay, they will receive a credit from the solar system. And in that case, that's the white lines where there is a much smaller amount. For a master metered property where each tenant does not have their own bill where they could receive a discount, the way that Pura decided to run the program was that the tenant portion of the solar revenue should be used to either provide an upfront upgrade to the building or fund ongoing services for the tenant. So the larger number is the upfront amount that we're able to provide for an improvement.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to use the slides again, though, take foot commons. It's hard to Melissa's point. It's hard to visually compare $327 to $447, $1,000. So I don't know if there's a way to equivocate them. Maybe take the 327 times the number of tenants or something like that, so that they're kind of an apple and an apple. Or
we could probably create two columns, Mac.
Yep.
One individual, one master. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, getting pretty extravagant there, Brian. 2 columns.
Mackie was trying to work the colors. It made sense to me, but I'm in the weeds. So it's good to hear this feedback.
And all the projects that are doing an efficiency upgrade, we'll be working with the multifamily program at the utilities to make sure they per the program, they have to be eligible. They have to be, the equipment used has to be efficient enough to qualify for incentives, so that we're not just getting, the cheapest stuff out there. And we'll work with the utility programs to make sure on top of the money here, we're also getting the eligible incentives.
Since we're nitpicking, what does EPC stand for?
Engineering, procurement, and construction. So that's the contract we have with the solar installer.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of acronyms on this slide.
I know most of them, but not that one.
All right, are there any other questions or comments for Mackie? Or Mackie, I'm sorry, were you done with your presentation?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
And just a quick note, Chair Watson, we have Mr. John Harity on the line as well. So we have 4 members of the joint committee. We can come back at the end on the meeting minutes. Good
Okay,
afternoon.
perfect. Great.
So I'm here now.
Yay.
I'm
All
sorry,
right,
I thought the meeting was at 2.
Well, I thought it was at 1, so I was logged in thinking that, we got stood up. So
I
Marissa
really
and I,
apologize. I hate to be late, but okay.
better late than never. So lucky to have you. All right, we're going to move on to Energy Efficiency Board and Conservation and Load Management update with Steve, Bruno, and Marissa Westbrook.
Great, thanks. I'm going to kick off this section. So in this section, we're going to give a brief update on our 2026 Conservation and Load Management Plan update. What you'll see here is our timeline and milestones. And the areas shaded in green are all the milestones that have been completed thus far in our planning cycle. A few items to note, we are tomorrow, the EEB is hosting public input session number 2, which is tomorrow evening, and it's, I believe, an online via Zoom meeting only. And also tomorrow morning, the Equity Working Group of the EEB is also hosting an input session. So both of those are happening on the 25th. We will be collectively, the companies are working towards their final draft of all documents, the plan text, the final tables, savings tables, budget tables, as well as our program savings document, acronym there is the PSD. All of that is going to be sent over for review October 1st. And we'll have a vote at our October 8th EEB meeting on all of that documentation. Those are the key milestones I wanted to highlight for the group here. Any questions there? I should say some of the key upcoming milestones. All right, and with that, we'll move to the next slide. And this just provides a brief snapshot of the changes in the plan for 2026 that we will be filing for October 1, or we will be, I should say, submitting for review and the vote October 1. Compared to what was previously filed, we had the date of 2/28 was the original filing. The differences here, you can see there's an overall change in revenues, an increase of 13.7 million in revenues, which are translated into our various operating company program budgets. The driver for that increase is predominantly the grant that we received for the IRA, the federal funding IRA grant, which is being used to develop and implement a program called HERE, which are some additional home energy incentives currently being developed. And the other driver of these increases would be updated estimates in CAM revenue for both electric and gas. Any questions on this?
No, I have one question, which is in general, we were looking at some numbers where budgets were not kind of behind schedule in terms of spending this year. Or do you know if you're still kind of falling behind for this year's budgets, or are we back on track?
I would say that I'll speak on behalf of the Avangrid companies. We are lagging a bit. We have quite a bit of activity in the pipeline, and we are undertaking some marketing efforts, some new kind of creative tactics, which actually will show up on a few slides going forward that we'll talk a bit about, that we are hopeful will drive activity. So we are lagging a bit, but we are putting some tactics in place that will hopefully help to curb that for year end.
Because I'm thinking about it in terms of this additional budget that now we have. And most of it is for low income. So maybe it's not, are we concerned that we won't be able to spend this extra money, or because of where it's being spent, there shouldn't be any issue being able to spend it all?
I can try to help if you from the Eversource side, if you want, Marissa.
Yeah, feel free to jump
in.
in.
So basically, if you want to move to the next slide, I think most of your comments were like perfect. So what we're seeing on the Eversource side, and to a certain extent, as Marissa and I are working closely together, is we're seeing compared to the past couple of years, we're seeing a decrease in participation for both heat pumps and weatherization. So the marketing efforts that Marissa is kind of referring to are hoping to help increase demand, and we also think the money that is going to be available through the HERE program will actually help that as well, Melissa. So I think timing is actually kind of good that we're going to do these marketing efforts, kind of increase demand, but the additional incentives through the HERE program will also help customers participate. And the HERE program is primarily geared towards low income, but they have a couple of different designations. So their low income for the HERE program is basically like definitely our HES-IE program qualifies, but then in our HES program, we're actually going to have to bifurcate our HES program into 60% state medium to 80% area medium income. That's like one section of it that would qualify as well. And another section would be a moderate income program that the HERE program allows for, which is 80 to 150. But essentially, we're hopeful that these additional incentives, Melissa, will help as well. So that basically those customers that are getting heat pumps or heat pump water heaters or weatherization measures will have that funding as well. Richard, feel free.
Just one, unless I'm out of date and I haven't heard the news, we haven't received the IRA funds yet. We're budgeting for them. DOE hasn't yet approved them. So I just wanted to set the record straight on that.
Yeah. I don't know if Deep's on the phone, but we're actually the utilities are actually submitting their first bill this month to try to get reimbursement on some administrative costs through that process. So I think Deep has seen administrative cost recovery, but DOE hasn't given the green light on the actual, giving $8,000 for a heat pump rebate yet. Perfect, Richard. Thank you. Okay, so thanks, Richard, and Melissa, follow on Melissa's presentation and where we're going. Yeah, the companies, because we're basically low on the residential side for weatherization and heat pumps, we created a 0% promotional offer on the electric side most recently, and the charts that are on this are basically showing that actually has worked in terms of stimulating demand. So if you look at the green bars in each of the three charts is the 2025 numbers focusing on August. So you can see that we received over almost 2,500 leads in the month of August. And then between the leads from the 0% from the calling in wise use, we also have online registrations and contractors promoting as well. So that resulted in additional created projects. You can see a large amount of projects created for HES in the upper right-hand corner. So we're excited about that. And then because customers are calling into wise use, we also let them know about the income eligible program. So you can also see the spike in August for income eligible program, even though that's already free, it actually results in additional leads for that program as well too. So I thought we show that, but perfect list for setting us up for that slide. Thank you. And then the next
So-
slide, oh, sorry, any questions before we
No.
move to the next slide?
Quick question, Steve.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if you don't get the reimbursement from DOE?
So right now, this was actually predicated on spending our budget this year, as Melissa referred to. We're behind where we were last year at this point in time, so we're using this to try to basically spend our budgets. I think what the additional funding from DOE will do is if it creates, these are short-term promotional offers, so we would probably have to stop these offers relatively soon, so we manage our regular budgets. But yeah, and we're not talking about a lot of dollars each year, as Marissa referred to. We're looking at maybe $9 million per year between Eversource and UI, so that the funding isn't this giant boom. It's a deep hit ask us to kind of work to kind of have it be streamlined over each year. So it'll be basically funding through 2031.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other question, go to the next slide. And I don't know if Barbara's on the phone as well. Maybe she wants to help me out with this slide. But I think this is a good project for a collaborative effort between the companies, the board consultants, and also the Green Bank, which is what these kind of meetings are all about, Brian, right? And so basically the Energized Heating Loan was a legislative mandated program, expired last year. Some customers were using that to fund a portion of the heat pump, and then they would actually go back and use the Smarty loan. That program legislatively expired in 2024. So the Smarty loan program is a great program, but we got some feedback from evaluation that said, hey, maybe if you guys can work on having that program with a lower interest rate, that can help be the place customers go to for their heat pumps. We know in Massachusetts, they're actually getting 0% interest rate, but we can't really afford that right now with our programs and programs that are offering, out there like ARPA funds, things like that. So what we're proposing to do, we started a kickoff in the month of September, and we're proposing to basically have two offers for market rate customers and for low income customers. We would basically buy the interest rate down from 6.99 to 4.99 for market rate customers, and customers that are getting low income audit rates, they would get 2.99% as a buy down rate. And I think there was a webinar that the Green Bank put together on Monday. And then so we're going to see how this program works as a test basis. And we were using energy efficiency dollars that are budgeted in the line for residential financing to fund this promotional offer. Brian, if Barbara's on or anyone from your team wants to add, feel free.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Steve. Barbara's not on, but she did. Barbara is our director of the Smarty Loan program. She presented this to our deployment committee, who was very excited to be seeing this continued collaboration with our EDC teams. So it was just kind of great. I think when we initially saw it, the buy down was much lower, but we know those things, they cost, right? And typically the longer you go out in term, the higher the cost. So it looks like the team struck a really good balance in finding what could work while also driving demand in the appropriate areas. So we're excited to be working with Steve and Marissa and crew here.
I have a question. What can these loans be used for? Can they be used for like health barrier remediation?
This buy down is only for heat pumps, but the Smarty loan can be used for anything clean energy related, anything health and safety related, anything resilience, environmental infrastructure related, like water, septic tanks. So it is an energy environmental policy product to support all, public policy. So it can be used for the health and safety, but the buy down won't apply there. The buy down is specifically for the heat pumps.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Melissa, we were hoping that since we're using the Energy Efficiency Fund dollars for the buy down, it would be basically to help spur heat pump rebates from customers getting new heat pumps installed. And Brian, maybe just one quick note, you guys already do a nice job. I think it was mentioned before, I don't know if it's on one of these calls, but the Green Bank also provides the lenders, I think, some kind of a loan loss reserve. So those rates are already starting off as, I think they're pretty good rates in the first place, compared to market rates, which could be 9 or 10 or 11%. So the Green Bank started already with a process where the credit unions give a lower than market rate with that 6.99, but just don't know, like customers are used to hearing like these special offers. You buy a new car, you get 0% for 12 months, things like that. So people do still love the 0%, but I just want to make the point that the 6.9 is actually a pretty good rate in the first place.
I see Richard has his hand up.
Brenda, I don't know if this is the right time. I can certainly wait to talk about later, but there's been some discussion after Barbara did a presentation at the Res Committee meeting the other week about this, and so a suggestion from one of the contractors about looking for opportunities to enhance the Smarty loan further, and Brian has suggested some Green Bank staff and some other program staff sort of get together and brainstorm maybe instant approval. There might be some other features as well too to think about. So I just want to put that out there that's a follow on. And I can look for a time sort of later, I guess in a month or so, or over the next month to bring interested parties together and begin that conversation. So I just want to at least acknowledge that that's in the works, and if there's anybody else who'd be interested in participating in that, let me know, and I'll bring them into the fold.
Perfect. And I will reinforce and reiterate that in the next section.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's good. It's good. It'll be good to reinforce that.
Okay.
I'll set here, I think, Brian.
All right, thank you, both Steve and Marissa. Are there any other questions or comments on our Healthy Housing Initiative to date? I think we've been doing a really good job in this effort, and love to see that the interest rates have gone down. 4.99 and 2.99 is really good. Okay, I'm sorry, is there someone coming in? Okay, we're gonna move on to the CNLM plan update. Richard, take it away.
This should be the companies, not Richard.
Or me, the company,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. All right, so Steve.
Yeah, sorry, I'll share this with Marissa as well. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to give a couple of quick backgrounds as I go through fast, where Marissa has the meat of it, which is the offering. But essentially, as a regulatory context, and this goes back to the prior plans as well too, but DEEP has been asking the companies and the board consulting, et cetera, to work with the CLM plan programs that we offer to kind of coordinate those offerings with the grid mod programs that PIRA does. And those include like electric vehicles, battery storage, et cetera. So in the 2025 to 2027 plan, there was a PMI metric for the companies to basically create a coordinated initiative, like basically a plan, if you will, that would work to combine energy efficiency measures with electric vehicle charging stations, battery storage systems, solar as well. So that's in the 2025 plan. Plan was recently approved by DEEP, and then we need to file a plan to DEEP by October 1st. And so in order to get that plan kind of filed, we created a working group. The representatives noted here as the companies, and within the companies, different parts of the companies besides energy efficiency, the solar teams, the storage teams, the electric vehicle teams, and marketing. We work with Green Bank and also the EB technical consultants. And the goal was to basically explore program integration, enhance the programmatic cross-promotion, and opportunities for more comprehensive customer offering. And the work that was done was, we besides the meetings, we conducted surveys among the various groups to find opportunities and resources for better integration between the programs. And next slide. I think we just wanted to say these first slides before Marissa kind of goes through the details of what we're kind of proposing, that we do have things already going on. So there already is some marketing being done within the companies. We talk about CNLM, energy efficiency, solar, storage, EV charging opportunities. But I think what we're finding is like they may have been, in silos. Like you could go to one place to find storage, one place to find solar, but a hard place to find one like concerted place to go to where you can get all the information in one setting. Next slide. But that marketing materials could be a base to build on. And then engineering as well. When we do the decarbonization roadmap, we look at opportunities for customers, across multiple programs. So they could do battery storage, they could do energy efficiency. And so we do have engineering studies today that maybe don't participate with all customers, but if you're a CNI customer, you can get an engineering study that would look at more than just one technology. It would look at opportunities to save greenhouse gas emissions. It could look at opportunities for renewable and solar. And similarly, on the residential side, the companies do offer, a decarbonization audit where it would help customers basically find out whether they could use a heat pump as well, in addition to just basically calling in and saying, hey, I want a home energy assessment to look at my home. So I guess I just wanted to kind of characterize that to set the stage for Marissa, that basically that there are different things going on today, but I think the good part about this initiative is it kind of helps us bring things together. And I think the next slide is yours, Marissa, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Quick
thanks so
question.
much for
Sure.
teeing that up. Oh, yeah, go right
Sorry,
ahead.
quick question before you go on, Marissa.
Yeah.
In that previous slide, is there maybe an effort to kind of market this to municipal governments so that town councils can begin to think about how they can turn their communities into a net zero community? Like, Middletown has a very active quasi-government clean energy task force. Perhaps starting with those task force or coalitions or committees would be a great way to get this on, town councils, local mayors or town managers to start thinking about ways that they can engage in and getting their communities closer to net zero.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. I think that can really touch on the outreach piece for sure, leveraging that avenue. That is one of the areas that we were exploring is the marketing and the outreach piece, and we can definitely leverage those partnerships with the towns and the communities for that. We're also looking, and I'll go into this in a little more detail, but we're looking at a pilot that has a small scale, but would have a segment directed to residential, but also a segment directed to the commercial industrial. And so perhaps there's opportunity there. We weren't going to necessarily be prescriptive on the type of commercial customer, but certainly a town building, a school, something like that could potentially be a good candidate. So I think those are all great points, and we can definitely weave that into the offering as it evolves.
That would be great. And I know that Eversource had the geothermal pilot in Framingham, Massachusetts a number of years ago. And perhaps that's also a pathway to get local communities to start thinking about, advancing to net zero is maybe starting there, especially here in Hartford, where the NBC continues to dig up roads. It's a missed opportunity. But anyway, just some thoughts that I had on that.
Very good.
Great, thanks for sharing. Yeah. Great, and we can move to the next slide. So just to another, maybe to underscore, we have a deliverable to be filed, which is essentially a plan to develop this coordinated effort, this coordinated offering, if you will. And just to underscore a bit of what Steve was saying, the effort in order to come up with this coordinated plan and the coordinated offering was really a great example of collaboration across those entities. So I just wanted to underscore that. A lot of great input from the Green Bank team, folks across our organization, the consultants. So it was a great example of a collaboration between these teams, which I just wanted to make sure was highlighted as well. So with that, we through the survey process, through these discussions, there were weekly meetings set up since July in the working group that was established. And we looked at topics across education, marketing, operationalizing, and from an education standpoint, some of the things that we look to try to better coordinate in this offering are the way we educate the public through materials, through training, through contractor training, through both education internally of our wise use representatives, as well as the contractors who are a customer facing in the field, if you will. We talked about future efforts to better coordinate the marketing, to cross-promote programs, whether it be in the targeted outreach, and this really goes to your point, Brenda, how do we, what are the levers that we pull, and what are the avenues that we pursue for coordinated outreach? Community-based campaigns certainly are something that came up as a future topic to explore. And then enhanced promotional materials that cross the various programs. Operationally, we talked about expanding existing technical assistance that's offered in scoping studies, and how can we expand that to include beyond some of the energy efficiency initiatives that are scoped now. How do we include solar in that? How do we include EVs in that? We talked about aligning contractors and the work that they do, and identifying vendors that might be able to either scope or do work on projects that cross the different, I'll say, end uses of solar, of energy efficiency, electric vehicles. And lastly, we talked about the financial piece. Is there an enhanced financial offering that can be delivered? We looked at, or we talked about potentially higher loan caps for these comprehensive upgrades. And so that's really where there was a lot of value that the Green Bank was able to bring into that conversation. How can we better leverage, existing C&I financing offerings such as CPACE, the small business on-bill financing? Can we explore lower interest rates, the interest rate buy-down concept, that sort of thing? So these are all topics that are on the table as we look towards a coordinated effort. Next slide, please. And so in the filing, what we did was we discussed the process, we discussed the existing activity, and we discussed that some of those proposed ideas of how we could better coordinate in those areas just described. And the filing is going to culminate in a discussion around a pilot. And so this is where we determined a pilot would make a lot of sense. We would set aside a budget across both companies of $200,000. We would take that from our existing budget as sort of a carve out, if you will, in a sense, for this pilot. It would take place over the 2026 to 2028 term. And the goal would be to deliver unified and comprehensive decarbonization through an audit or technical assistance slash study, a scoping study. And that study would deliver opportunities, identify opportunities across the scope areas of energy efficiency, electric vehicles, solar, heat pumps. So on the residential side, we thought we would have we would approach this both from the residential and the C&I perspective. We'd target a small segment of customers on residential, 10 to 20 customers, where we would conduct a comprehensive audit that builds upon the existing HES audits. Again, it would look across the core 4 offerings, and it would develop actionable recommendations that the customer can pursue. It would align with the state incentive programs that we offer. And of course, the offerings would have to be cost effective. And the idea here is that across the various offerings, customers might choose multiple, but don't necessarily have to choose all 4 of the offerings. So it would provide an assessment of their opportunities, and then the customer could choose. Now, some of these projects are longer term, so it might take place over multiple years. So we'd have to kind of work through the details of the tracking of that, but we think that it's definitely feasible. And then on the C&I side, it would be a smaller customer target base of 10 customers. This would look at an enhanced building assessment, comprehensive building assessment or engineering study. And it would evaluate the infrastructure elements such as electrical capacity, conduit routing, and the need for service upgrades, and then look at the various 4 core offerings that we previously discussed. And again, C&I projects do tend to often take longer. So again, that might span across multiple years as well. So that is the pilot concept that we are putting forth in our coordinated plan, which is due to be filed October 1. I just wanted to thank the folks on the line. A lot of folks here were participants in that working group process and shared a lot of great ideas and led us to to this deliverable. So thank you all.
Marissa, I have a silly question about the CNI portion of this study. Would that include abandoned buildings, or would it only include buildings that are operational?
That's a good question. I don't recall that coming up in the conversations. Steve, are you recalling if we talked through that and if that would come into scope?
Yeah, we didn't. I don't remember abandoned buildings coming up. We could bring it up to the team, but I think we were thinking of mostly existing customers that typically would be approaching us versus like new construction kind of thing. But definitely open to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
And I asked because there are a number of abandoned assets in North Hartford that some developers are looking to rehab. So it might be a good idea for them to, if they were interested about, wanting to understand the energy portion of the project. But okay, Bernie.
Well, first, Brenda, I think that's a great idea because a lot of these things are really hard to do in an existing building that has people and sheetrock and stuff like that in it. So in a way, an abandoned building is the perfect, a palette to do this. So I think that was a fantastic idea. And I guess a question for Marissa, is there any thought of having a navigator as part of this pilot? Because to a certain extent, you're trying to weave together all these different programs, and you can use the HES audit as a document or as a plan, I guess. But sometimes it's great to have a human being that can sort of help weave these things together.
Yeah, I think one of the ideas that we talked quite a bit about was, and Steve, feel free to jump in if I'm not characterizing this exactly right, but an entity that could do an enhanced audit that would kind of be I don't want to say like a concierge, but they would kind of look at all of these different end uses. And so that was something that was explored as a concept through this. And I don't know if that's exactly answering your question or equating to a navigator, but that's kind of how I would have thought of a navigator, someone that kind of looks at all this and connects the customer to all of these different opportunities that they uncover. Steve, do you think?
That was good. And I would just
that?
That was perfect. I would just add that we also talked about to help coordinate that piece with the vendors, we would have a lead in each area, like someone that's part of this initiative from the company solar, someone part from the EV, so that we can have conversations with that team as well too. So it wasn't just up to the total vendor, but we had an area in each person. But we didn't think about putting in a new FTE or new employee responsible for all these other initiatives within energy efficiency. The tough thing is cost recovery, Bernie. Like we're worried about even like incentive offerings. Like, are you going to increase the incentive if a customer gets multiple measures? Well, should energy efficiency be paying for electric vehicle charging? Those are the things that are tough. So we felt like each person has a lead, and then to Marissa's point, the vendor would be trained in all the disciplines so that they're making sure to cover all areas.
That'll make sense.
Yes. So just to add, and Richard, you may get into some of this as well, just to give some context or additional context. I think we started in June, and by we I mean like our EDC colleagues, along with the EEB consultants, along with an external consultant. They reached out to the Green Bank and were very inclusive in involving me and my team. So we probably had 4 or 5 people in biweekly meetings. Then in August, we started weekly meetings. So just a big kind of shout out to their inclusivity on this effort on the incentive. I guess my observations would be that there are a lot of expectations on the EDCs, meaning, all these different areas, people wanted to see them solve everything, right? And just observing it, it's okay, we need to set expectations in the plan and make steady progress. We're not trying to boil the ocean here. We're trying to move in the right direction to multi-measure because, to Steve's point earlier on the silos, these areas, the EDCs implement either by statute or regulation, right? So the solar programs through CGS 16-244Z, they implement the RRES, the NRES, SCEF, through Public Act 2153 and the Equitable Modern Grid Framework. They co-administer the battery storage program with the Green Bank. through the grid, equitable modern grid, they implement the EV chargers, right? So a lot of this too is internal. And I'll say this, Steve, Marissa, you guys could, it's like culture, right? You're trying to get the silos to work together. And to Steve's point, then how do you incent and encourage those other silos to work towards the greater good when the CLNM has its goals and targets? So it's really a hard thing. And I think the plan that they're putting out is achievable. It moves us in the right direction towards multi-measure. To Richard's point on the Green Bank earlier, I think, you can see our role in the last slide here on the financing side. I think what we will do, and Richard is working to set up, so the invite is extended, is to learn what the EEB and the EDCs want from the lenders. So we currently have like a not to exceed $50,000 for a couple of our Smarty loan lenders. So, if we want to go higher, okay, that's one area. The instant on-site approval, as Bernie noted in a note, there are things that you all have a vision for. So it's like, let's sit down, learn about those, and then together, with Bert Hunter and Barbara Waters, we would go to the lenders and say, here's what we want as the next iteration of the program. Can you deliver this for us? This will bring more loans, more engagement with customers, and the like. So we're making progress on the EDCs are making a lot of progress. We're making some progress on the financing side in terms of finding tools to help support this activity too. So anyways, those are just want to share some of those observations of working with Marissa, Steve, and their teams, with Mike Goldman, I think, is the external consultant, and Richard and team.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Yeah, I just wanted to, thanks, Brian. I just wanted to respond to Bernie's comment, and we did have some conversations about other models out there that are doing this, sort of offering this comprehensive approach, at least on the residential side. I mean, we've done it in Vermont for a number of years under the branding of the Zero Energy Now or Zen program. The Massachusetts Clean Energy Center has been doing a comprehensive approach there, and I to the point that you made, Bernie, I'm 100% in agreement that there needs to be somebody who's a navigator or concierge, whatever you want to call it, on behalf of the customer, who understands all of the pieces and intricacies and the relationships and how it all goes together, because the customer has no clue. And so it's really going to be our imperative to try to guide them to the right places, provide the right service. So having that our experience is that having such a person in place makes all the difference for successful projects. So looking at the experience that these other programs have had sort of leads us in that direction, but I'm glad you brought the point up regardless.
All right, are there any more questions or comments for Steve or Marissa on this? I think it's a fantastic effort, by the way.
Yeah, this is John Harity. I had a brief comment, which is, I think the idea of a concierge or a navigator is a good thing, but it's part of a general concern that I always have about all of this stuff, which is that is put together by really smart people, but that the people that are that we would want to have participate, like, may have zero knowledge, and so that all of it has to be, not to use this in a pejorative way, but all of this needs to be dumbed down as much as possible, or on the commercial side, the businesses don't have the time, and on the residential side, most people won't have the knowledge to piece through a bunch of different programs and permutations and all this sort of stuff. It just needs, as much as it can be, to be very straightforward and simple to get through, or people will be discouraged. And that includes everything from the marketing to the application process to the education materials, everything just needs to be as simple as it possibly can be. Thanks.
That's a great point, and definitely well taken. Certainly will be keeping that in mind. It can get very complex. A single program can get very complex, let alone trying to weave them all together, right? It's all new language often for customers, and so you're absolutely right. The key is to make it simple, to make it understandable. So we will definitely take that into consideration. Thank you.
So
Thank you
the
for that
question,
reminder, John. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Melissa.
it's okay. The question I was going to ask was about the directive to think about people's energy bills and how certain measures like doing heat pumps might affect their energy bills. Is this also going to streamline thinking about that by including, like, if you add solar, then you might, instead of spending more on your electric bill, you might actually save money over switching from a certain fuel source? Like, is that all being rolled into this combined effort?
We have to pass that feedback on next. Melissa, you're spot on. I mean, technically right now, the scope we have with the project we have right now is to make sure we're doing, like, not just a heat pump, for example, we're doing a heat pump addition that will increase your electricity usage, but also what happens if you weatherize your home or you do like a heat pump water heater, things like that. So we would have to expand that, to your point, to be future ready. We should include battery storage and solar and charging stations for what those costs would be and what the savings are. You're spot on.
And to add, Steve, as part of the process, we had the EDC teams implementing the solar programs. And I feel like, Steve and Marissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like they said something like, there are, the residential program's doing great. There are customers who indicate that they want to size their solar PV systems larger because they want to buy an EV or install a heat pump. So we may have a pre-existing kind of list of those customers who installed larger systems that we may be able to go out to with a heat pump EV kind of offer and continue
Nice.
to move them along.
Perfect. Thanks,
Yep,
Brian.
exactly.
I just following up on Melissa's comment, and there's a huge incentive to reduce your energy burden, but there's also a huge health component to replacing your fuel burning system with a heat pump and the impact that will have on people who have asthma or other respiratory diseases. So the health impacts should also be played up as much as
That as
possible.
well. Good. Thanks, Brenda.
All right. Are there any other comments or final questions on that piece? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go on to other business. So that would be Mackie to jump us off on the brief update for CNI on the government side.
Yes, thank you. So we're continuing our partnership with Eversource around the Small Business Energy Advantage program. We are working on our first loan purchase of this fiscal year, at least for the Green Bank, of the Green Bank's fiscal year. Just as a reminder, this is a program where Green Bank and our partner Amalgamated Bank provide capital to Eversource for on-bill 0% loans to businesses, nonprofits, municipalities, and state agencies. So we're working on our first loan of our fiscal year, the third loan of the calendar year, for almost $4.5 million, representing 82 loans. Anything to add, Steve? Did I miss anything? And I see there's a question.
Yeah, no, nothing to add, Mackie. Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering, you specified Eversource. So is this same program not available to customers in UI territory?
The program is available. It's the capital is not supplied by the Green Bank and Amalgamated. I believe they use Feel free to jump in, but I believe you're using a mix of sort of shareholder balance sheet and CNLM funds for the capital.
Yes, so we have Marriott Dowden, I know was on the line earlier. I'm not sure if he's still on, but for our small business, we do offer the on-bill financing through a different funding mechanism, essentially.
Yeah, I'm here. It is self-funded. I can't answer internally how it's funded, but it is funded through Avangrid.
Okay, any other questions?
Brenda, can I ask one quick question?
Of course.
So I totally get the point going back to residential, that it is expensive to buy down from, say, 7.99 to 0 or whatever. But here on the commercial side, we've made that decision. Yeah, that no cost financing is worth the trip. It's probably a big and philosophical question, but is there an easy answer to why it makes sense here and less so on the residential side?
So Mackie can probably help me better, but essentially we went through an RFP process. And so working with Green Bank and Amalgamated Bank, we got some pretty attractive rates, Bernie. So, and at the time it was basically indexed to whether it's like LIBOR as one point or the rate index, and it was the U.S. Treasury bill. But as the markets kind of changed, the rate changed. But essentially, the rates are pretty attractive and the term is shorter. The residential side, the problem is we're looking at 10-year loans, which almost costs more for the financing than we're giving for the incentive. So it's just very expensive. So if you give for example, on a heat pump, if you give if we give $750 a ton for rebate on a heat pump, that's like $2,250 per customer.
Yeah.
But if you want to finance, $25,000 over 10 years, at 0%, that's going to cost us like $5,000 or $6,000. So it goes back to where should you put the money? Are you better off putting money on an additional incentive? And is the cost effectiveness there? Whereas on the small business side, we're already funding a big portion. The savings already give us the ability to give a larger incentive already. So the customer has a larger incentive in the first place. So it's a smaller balance of costs and a shorter long-term period.
I get it. The shorter term, it evens out
Lower
the
rate.
dollars and
Yep.
makes a lot of lower rates. Thank you. That clarifies it. I just didn't want the residential to get picked on. That's all.
Gotcha.
If it's any consolation, Bernie, I saw some recent numbers in global climate finance in 2023, $1.9 trillion invested globally. The largest source is from the private sector versus the public sector. And the largest contributor in the private sector are household customers. Beyond corporations, beyond other financial institutions. So it is homeowners who are carrying the largest so far and need to carry more, which is what we're trying to do.
You're singing my song, Brian. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to small and medium large businesses. I believe that's Steve and Marissa again.
I think we essentially covered our updates between the small business sector just now with Mackie, and then also with those residential sector, we already covered in the additional slides, so we don't have any other additional edits. Is that correct, Marissa?
Okay.
Yep.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
Same thing here as well.
All right. So Brian, is this a good? Yes. I was just going to ask if this is a good time to try to get the minutes of the June meeting approved. So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the June 18th meeting minutes.
So moved, John Harity.
All right. Is there a second? Bernie, you're muted, but I think you've mouthed that you were.
If I'm allowed to second, I will second. I think so.
Okay, Brian, is that allowed?
He is. He's the runner up for some.
Okay,
Melissa's here,
Sure.
and there's one more. He's the runner up. Yep.
all right. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any nays? Abstentions? Okay, so moved. Now we're going to go back into public comments. If there are any members of the public that would like to make any comments about the content of this meeting today. Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and move to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Brenda.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Take care.
Take care, folks.
Bye-bye now.